welcome to the Honey and Harry Show. I'm Honey. And where's Harry?
I'm Harry.
There he is. So today we have a special guest, Patrick Reynolds. I've been knowing Patrick my whole life. And he's a bit of a history buff, especially Baton Rouge history, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a bit of a time travel, looking back at Baton Rouge history, and just see where it takes us.
Okay.
All right. So where did you grow up?
I was born in New Orleans, but we moved here to Baton Rouge when I was 10, the summer of 1979. And we moved to a part of Baton Rouge, Siegen Lane by Perkins Road, which at the time we thought was country. We thought
it was.
It was, St. George was a small school on a 2-lane highway that was dark at night. And the
little red schoolhouse.
The little red
schoolhouse.
Remember that? Correct. Yeah. And it's amazing to think how much that area has changed. That's where I grew up. So I can see the changes the most, where you grow up.
Absolutely.
And that whole area is just, it's been turned upside down.
I think they had like Klein Peter Farm over there. Did they have like a Klein Peter? Where was that? Where the
Klein Peter's Dairy is still on Airline Highway.
I'm talking. I know I did a birthday party for my son over there. They had the horses. It's over there where Bistro Byron's and all that. That was a big field.
It probably
had an old house over there.
They probably did.
It was country.
It was country. I mean,
it was.
From our house, across the street, they had woods and pastures. It hadn't been developed yet. So, and when you look at it like that, it's like, whoa, this area has changed a bunch.
I know.
Baton Rouge has changed.
Baton Rouge is completely different, right?
Yeah, I think that time period, the 70s, was kind of a shifting time. That's when things started to change a lot.
The 70s, 80s.
The 80s, yeah.
Yeah, 80s. I think the 80s and the 90s is when things started exploding, right?
Correct.
So what got you interested specifically in old Baton Rouge history?
I can recall two things that really stand out the most. One of them was I took a course at LSU. Dr. Mark Carlton taught a history course, and he wrote a book called River City. I think it was a history of Baton Rouge, and it had a lot of old Baton Rouge pictures in it. And so that kind of got me hooked. I saw these pictures, and it kind of got me hooked. And then one of my sisters had a LSU yearbook, the Gumbo, and it had this picture in it of the Paramount Theatre downtown, and they were getting ready to tear it down, and they had a big wall around it, and someone had spray painted, we can save her if we try or if we hurry.
Oh, wow.
And they weren't successful. But those two things kind of stand out as what really grew my interest in Baton Rouge.
Oh, yeah, because I remember they had the theater, too, over there at LSU. Remember they had that theater? It was next to...
The Chimes?
Yeah, I think it was... What was it? No, was it next to the Chimes? I think it was next to... There was a bar over there, Murphy's, I think.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah,
sure.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That's where I got in my first rated R movie.
Yeah, that's right. The university...
They weren't carding back then, thank God.
That was a Jerry Lewis theater at one time.
Really?
Jerry Lewis had a chain of theaters across the U.S., and they put one in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be very low number of employees. They wanted it to be, pretty much automated.
Oh, gosh.
But then it became the university after that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So what's your favorite childhood memory of Baton Rouge? What is like your favorite... I mean, that's a hard one.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a tough question.
Because there's probably so many. Because I have a million.
Well, moving here when I was 10.
That one had to be hard, though. Was it hard moving to Baton Rouge?
It was. It was because we had grown up in a place where I had 4 older siblings in a small community. Mm-hmm. They knew everybody. Everybody knew them. And I was growing up following them. Everyone would know who I am. And then we moved to Baton Rouge, and we didn't know anybody.
I know.
So we were starting from scratch.
Yeah, that was tough.
So, I think one of the things I remember is one of my first LSU games was seeing when Charlie Mack retired.
Oh, really?
And I think that was about 79, 80. And I specifically remember them driving a purple and gold Cadillac around the football field.
Oh, gosh, I gotta remember.
And they handed, that was his going away gift.
Okay.
And so that was a cool memory.
I just remember there was somebody in Baton Rouge that had a big LSU car. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think the guy was on Airline Highway.
Was it a yellow car?
Yeah, he had like a big old limousine or something, purple and gold.
Yes, I remember seeing that. And I was like, oh my gosh.
I can't remember the name of the gas station or the guy, but yeah, he had that. It was prominently placed on the roads. Everybody saw it. Everybody knows about it.
Yeah. So what about the? Can you tell me more about the old images of Baton Rouge Facebook site? That's because I'm going to be honest with you. I know you're on it a lot, but like I go and look at that all the time. Like it's so cool to see all the old pictures. Some stuff rings a bell, some stuff doesn't.
That's it. The old images. In my mind, it's more of a contemporary Baton Rouge, maybe the 40s, the 50s at the earliest.
Yeah.
I mean, there are paintings of the Civil War and all that.
Yeah, but it's cool.
I don't go that far back, but I remember I came across it on Facebook. It was about 2 or 3 weeks old. Mm-hmm. Couple hundred members. I was like, well, I like this. So the next thing you know, I started finding stuff, posting it. And next thing you know, they have 2,000 members, 5,000, 10,000 members. It was growing. Crazy? And I believe it has like just shy of 81,000 members now. And it's fun to put something up there and have people say, oh, I remember that. Like you just said, It's fun to see pictures and you jog people's memory. And they're like, I completely forgot that restaurant. I completely forgot that store.
I
know. And they see it, and it kind of makes me happy to have people.
Well, it makes you feel
memory.
Good.
Yeah.
That's
like I made their day.
Yeah, you did. No, you actually do because, like, our show last week was about happiness and is it a choice or not? But some of the things is like talking about things in the past that just bring back good memories. And I know Dad and I were looking, and we were talking about Village Square. Remember, was it Village Square, Dad? Yeah.
Yes.
Village Square. And like, remember all the stores in the Village Square?
Yeah, it was a Wilson's or Service Merchandise.
Remember that? And then what else were we talking about that was in there? I think there was like an ice cream store in there.
It was a Chocolage, I think it was called.
Chocolage, that was it.
A bookstore.
Yeah.
The original beignet store. Coffee Call was in there.
Coffee Call was in there. Yeah.
And but you wouldn't even know any of that existed.
I know.
If you're a certain age, you have no idea that. So it's fun to put stuff up there to.
That's where I got my first paint pens.
Okay. It's a good memory.
They have a store called I think it was the Dark Horse. And I remember I had saved my money to buy some paint pens. It's a good memory.
It is a good memory.
Probably kids don't have to save their money nowadays to buy a paint pen.
No. And, nostalgia, especially, as I get older, nostalgia becomes a much stronger emotion, much stronger pull. And I think there's a lot of people out there like me, my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, but they like to see this stuff. They
absolutely.
Especially as Baton Rouge grows and changes and things fade from memory. Yeah. It's good to keep them alive.
Oh, absolutely. And I think another one of the, because I love all the stores. I was just, of course, your sister got me hooked on the shopping and the stores, But we were talking about Catfish Town.
Yeah. I do remember Catfish
That was
Town.
very short-lived.
Yeah, I think, downtown was the hub. Downtown was where you had all your Sears, your JCPenney's, all your small stores were on 3rd Street downtown.
That's right.
And then, little by little, they moved to Delmont Village, then Bon Marche, and downtown was left high and dry. And they tried, I think Catfish Town was an attempt to bring people back down.
Yeah.
But I think they did it too soon.
Maybe that's why, because I remember loving going there. I remember we went because my parents' friend had the coffee call down there. So we would go. Yeah. And, I could shop.
They did have, I forgot they had
remember they had the coffee call there?
They had the popcorn place.
Oh, yeah. Remember the popcorn place? Yes. I do remember that. Oh, yeah. It's like, they need that popcorn place again. I love popcorn and all the different flavors. That was so good.
Catfish Town was a good idea, but like I said, I think it was too early because now that you have a grocery store and they have apartments and you have more hotels. Yeah. It's more of a 24-hour presence, and Catfish Town was just too soon.
I know. It really sad, but I loved it. I remember going and just totally enjoying it.
Good experiment.
It was. Now, what about the Lady of the Lake? My dad had said that because I don't remember the Lady of the Lake on the lake.
Yeah, I never went there. I'm aware of it.
But you know about that.
I know about it, sure. I've read up on it. I've seen pictures of it. I recently came across a movie that was made in Baton Rouge that actually had some footage filmed in there. So you get, you can always find exterior pictures of buildings. Interior pictures, not so much. But a movie was made there. And so I got to see glimpses of
Do you know
the
what
old
movie?
hospital. I think it was called The Life and Times of Huey Long with Ed Asner.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's very difficult to find a copy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to search and search.
Oh, my goodness.
But it was interesting to see that hospital, close-ups of the outside in color with people walking around.
Oh, I can't imagine. And now the lake is huge.
Yeah, they tore it down. But I think, they actually saved, just recently, I think the new Island Lake Children's Hospital, part of it, I think maybe in some sort of outside area, they had all the Stations of the Cross.
Oh, wow.
That they saved when they tore the hospital down and had a chapel in it.
Really?
And they saved them for years and years, and they finally reused them.
Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so the big question that I think everybody in Baton Rouge was Fleur de Lis ever coming back?
That was
like my favorite pizza.
That was a punch to the stomach right there.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm like, do you know anything that's going on with that? Because I'm like, I could eat that pizza right now.
Well, I have something to tell you about that pizza.
Okay.
But first, I remember when it closed. The day it closed, my wife was like, Pat, they're closing Fleur de Lis. And I was like, for the day? She's like, no, for good. So me and my brother-in-law hopped in the car, drove as fast as we could. We got there, and the guy was like, sorry, folks, no more pizzas. People were eating the pizzas, but he's like, we're not making any more. So we just kind of sat there and inhaled the nicotine and cheese one last time. Because that's what that place was, Mason.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's held
Around
up.
the world without anchovies.
Around the world. That's right.
Barks root beer in a bottle, please.
I know. And it was always so smoky.
But the thing about Fleur de Lis is, and old things, is that you could probably remake that pizza somewhere. You could make a pizza similar to it, but you can't recreate that experience.
No, you can't.
That building's 70 years old. It was.
It's so weird because it was like, it was so old, but like.
It's like a time machine.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And it was like, but the pizza, and maybe it's psychological, but like, you can't find pizza that good nowhere else. And somebody was saying that the Johnny's pizza is kind of like
That's my theory.
That is your theory?
If you buy Johnny's Pizza and you put it in your refrigerator, and the next day you heat it up, pretty close. But you can't eat it when you get it
fresh?
No, you have to put it in the refrigerator overnight and heat it up, and then it tastes.
So why?
There's a little bit of soggy to the crust
So you need
of the Fleur de Lis pizza,
Yes.
and you can't reproduce that very easily. So.
I know, the greasy.
I don't know what it is, but I do miss Fleur de Lis. I miss the bottles, the little bottles of Coke, and the pinball machine, and the jukebox, and the phone booth.
I know.
See, that's what you really miss, that experience.
And so I would go, always tell my husband I would want to play music on there. It's just because they don't have jukeboxes no more.
No, yeah, you can't.
And my kids would love that. They thought that's like so cool when they were younger, and we would go that to do.
That's the sad part. They won't be able to bring their kids.
I know.
I remember going there with my parents, and then, my wife and I, when with friends, with our kids. And that's just one of those things.
I know. What about any other restaurants that you can think of that is such a great loss to Baton Rouge?
I think of, when I think of restaurants like that, I think of like Mike Anderson's. Not the one where we go now, the original one, College Town. Mike Anderson's right by. It used to be right near the gates of LSU.
Yes.
And we managed to eat there one time, and it was like a rundown building. It wasn't anything fancy. That experience is gone. You can get the good food. I
don't know if you can always get the good food all the time nowadays.
Not.
I'm not saying Mike Anderson's. I'm just in general.
Yeah.
It's just things are different.
Things are different.
Things are so different now. I know you could go down, and I know, like, remember Florida Boulevard was the poppin' place back in the day. You had Bon Marche. Was it Bon Marche Mall?
Bon Marche.
And what was that? Oh gosh, Dad, I forgot the name of that store. New Generation.
Yeah, New Generation.
God,
that's right.
When that opened, I was like, I remember my brother. He loved electronics. My dad loves the electronics, and I found out, oh my gosh, they have Esprit clothes in there.
Yeah, New Generation had. You go there to buy your TV, your stereo, your jeans.
I was like. this is a win. They're gonna go. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into this store.
But it's true. New generation.
Remember there was like a line of people or something crazy when it opened up. Do you remember that, Dad? It was like the big I remember it.
I've seen pictures. Yeah, they had a band playing.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like we need to do big openings like that again. I just so enjoy all the festivities. You know?
They just don't do it like that anymore.
I know they don't. I don't. And all the and like even like Cortana Mall. Like I think about that. Like, gosh, I spent so many, in my high school years just, and even like when I was younger, getting dropped off in the arcades.
Yeah,
Spaceport
and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's kind of strange. Cortana is just completely gone.
I know.
I mean, it's not just a building there; it's completely gone.
It's
strange. So you Bon Marche. I don't know if have you.
I haven't been over. Now I've been by there, but it looks like it's a big yellow. What is it now?
You can actually still walk through the mall.
Really?
But the stores, there's no.
In Bon Marche?
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to unless you're doing business there. I imagine. But it still looks like a mall, just with no stores. Like you can walk those walkways.
I love those with all the water. You throw your penny in. I love doing all that. I mean, I thought it was fun. Like kids don't get that experience anymore. They just don't. And what about Fun Fair Park? Huh?
I do. I have.
You remember that?
Fun Fair Park. My last memory there is, and it had gone down a little bit because when I was driving, bumper cars, and my seatbelt was Velcro. Velcro doesn't do very good in a collision. It was like. They've really gone downhill because you get hit, the Velcro just ripped right out. It was like, who thought Velcro was a good idea as a seatbelt?
I don't think anything. Remember the mousetrap?
Yes.
I mean, literally whiplash the entire time. I was like, you're doing all this crazy stuff. I mean, but I loved it.
Yeah, I think they moved a lot of the rides to Blue Bayou, Dixie Lantern. Yeah.
Some of the rides.
Some of the rides, when they closed it down, they moved them. That monkey was living at Dixieland and Blue Bayou.
Oh, whatever happened to the monkey?
Well, I think it passed away actually.
It did.
But yeah, when they closed
that
the
poor
park,
little monkey, I forgot about him.
Yeah, they because we went to Dixieland one time, and they someone had mentioned that he's still there, and sure enough, they had a cage off to the side.
No way. That's just
a
horrible.
retirement home for monkeys.
He just lived in that cage his whole life.
Yeah,
that's.
One cage, and then they just moved to another cage.
I mean, that's terrible.
Well, he moved to a nicer, everybody was moving out that way, so I guess he got to move out that way.
Yeah, I totally had forgotten about that. And then what else? That Mexican restaurant that was down Airline Highway. I keep forgetting.
Was it?
La Fonda's.
La Fonda's. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I remember the first time I ate there, and I thought it was like the best thing ever. I think that was the first time I had Mexican besides my mom cooking maybe tacos. But we didn't eat out a whole lot, huh, Dad?
Nope.
No, Mom cooked. But
yeah, again, that's one of the ones that's
is it closed?
It's gone. Yeah, it was a few years back, but it's gone now.
It's closed too now. I
think
know.
they tried to hold on.
That whole area's just changed. So, do you have any books that you could recommend on like the history of that you've enjoyed reading that other people might?
I haven't read a lot of history about Baton Rouge. Most of my knowledge is just internet research.
Really?
I go to the library at LSU. And they have microfilm and microfiche machines, and I'm the kind of person who will take his lunch hour and pick a specific date and say, "Oh, let's see what we can find happened in Baton Rouge on June 6th, 1971," and just what I come across. You never find
like on your birthday too. That's always cool.
Yeah,
to see what was going on the day you were born.
It's really cool to
the day your kids were born. Yeah,
you see the movie theaters that are gone. I mean, Baton Rouge has had a lot of movie theaters downtown.
Remember Tinseltown? They had that down, and it's
gone.
like everything comes up and then it crashes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Baton Rouge has just you have movie theaters that come and go in this city. It's amazing.
Isn't that weird? I don't know why. Why is it? I don't know why it's like that. It's so.
I couldn't tell you, but if you think about how many places, like on Essen Lane, they have that. Used to have one on Essen Lane, right by the.
I forgot about that.
I forget the name of that Chinese restaurant right there, but. Yeah. Again, that was a movie theater right behind it.
Yeah.
They had one on Siegen, the two on Siegen. The drive-ins were all over town. They're all gone.
Everything, I know. It has, I mean, some's changed for the good, but I like all the old stuff. I like, you know.
It's easier when you're trying to tell stories if you can point to the building and say that's where it was. Not, a building used to be there.
And it's like, I know, like, there's no more K-Marts. I know that sounds so silly, but, like, K-Marts was a thing back then.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody went to, like, Maison Blanche. I mean, all these, you know.
Walmart became the beast that it was.
Yeah, and the blue light special, you know.
Right. You're developing your film.
I know. Well, do you have any other specific memories that you'd like to share that were, I know Siegen Lane probably, I know my husband grew up down the street from you.
Yeah, he grew up in the country with me.
Yeah.
We went to the same small school.
And, I know St. George, and now St. George is such a powerhouse, so big.
It's a huge school, and it's a huge parish. You know, it's interesting to see the growth of Baton Rouge. You know, like I said, you can follow the malls. You know, Baton Rouge went from downtown and it followed Fleur de Boulevard to a certain point, and then it stopped. And when the interstates started to grow, it started following I-10. The city grew that way.
You're right. No,
and you can follow the theaters, and you can follow the stores, everything. It's pretty neat.
It is so cool. Is there anything that you'd like to ask, Dad?
I'm just interested in all your things you have to say. I'm having memory flashbacks.
Aren't you having memory? What about at the LSU games? And I was telling Dad this when we were talking, and he actually pulled up a picture because I had said it. Because, you know, I don't care about football, not one bit. And
I didn't know, but now I do.
I go to watch the Golden Girls dance and, you know, see the cheer and the band. I like
pregame, sure.
Yeah, I like all that. But I remember when we were little, the cheerleaders and all that. Remember they put Mike the Tiger in the cage?
Yeah.
And they would, like, which is now probably
they don't
animal abuse. You know?
They used to ride on top of the cage.
Yes.
The cheerleaders rode on top of the cage.
And I thought that was, like, the best thing to see those cheerleaders up there riding on that.
It was amazing. And, you know, if you look at the early pictures, they didn't have like a railing. Like the girls sat down and the guys stood up.
Didn't it? It felt like their legs were going to be on the cage, like where the cage was
right next to him. But the guys stood up, and I was like, how did they not fall?
Yeah, I know. That's what I know. That's what I mean. And Dad, didn't you? Do you have a picture up of that? I think you do. Yep. It's right. Yep. Yeah, you can see Patrick.
I think this photo is from around the south part of LSU's campus, and it was in '72. And we used to have a little running joke with fellow students. We would say, "You better not park at the deep end of South Stadium parking lot because if it rains, you're underwater." Okay, and of course, all up and down Nicholson Drive, heading into town, there was also just a lot of low areas, and then somewhere along the line, I think it was during Woody Dumas's time, or sometime a little after that, they fixed the drainage in Baton Rouge, or at least improved it radically. Yeah, and the campus didn't flood quite so much as it did back then.
Well, those pictures that you have up shows like that picture of those guys standing on top of the cage. That's the original Mike the Tiger the cage.
Yes,
that's really.
Yeah, the one we're on now is the third Mike the Tiger cage. They had one that was incredibly small. They updated that one in the 80s and made it a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And then more recently, they gave him this huge palace.
I mean, now he lives in a nice little area.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely nice.
His first cage was a concrete house with a small. Yeah, it was awful.
Oh yeah, to think that he had to live in there. No, LSU has definitely evolved too. It was. I mean, I can remember going to some of the games every once in a while with my parents, and there was just so much free open space back. You know, now LSU's it's got so many people. It's a huge school. Yeah. Huge.
Let me tell you a story about how spacious the campus was back in the old days, where Pete's Palace is, the basketball arena and so forth. That was all grass, and all the way to the end of the campus was grass, and that's where cars parked for the game. It was like an open area parking lot.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
and
pictures of that.
I was in the band in those days.
Oh, yeah.
And so, of course, my beloved was down in New Orleans. And so I had to get from LSU to New Orleans as fast as I could on a Saturday night. So
that's sad.
Now, this is in the 60s, okay? So things are different then. But I used to run from putting my horn up over at the band department, head over to North Stadium where I lived in the concrete empire there, change out of my uniform, get in some street clothes, grab whatever I needed to grab, and then run as quickly as I can out into the parking lot looking for a license plate with the letter B in the middle of it.
Oh my gosh.
I get it.
And that says, okay, they're headed to New Orleans.
That's right.
So I would knock on the window and say, can I have a ride?
No, you would not.
I did. I did that a lot. And
People you didn't even know?
no, but it's like, they're football fans. They're going to be good people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good story,
That is
actually.
a
Yeah,
good one.
that's a great story because B was a license plate for New Orleans. True.
See,
B.
and
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I had no idea. And Dad also, didn't you live in the stadium or something?
Yes. Lived in the stadium. Back in those days, there were 4 men to a room, which was pretty crowded.
Oh my God. 4
3
boys.
of them were
There's
drunk
no
at
way.
all times. Okay. The rent or the housing charge for the semester was $65. So that tells you about inflation.
$65.
Did you have air conditioning?
No.
Yes, we opened the windows.
Yes.
And there's all kind of crazy stuff that was done back there. Remember, I lived on campus during the days of streaking. Okay.
No.
And
Dad, I hope you never did that.
well, of course not.
I mean, I
But
would
there's a
hope not.
rumor that some of us actually put some money together to get somebody on a dare to run around the stadium with no clothes. And apparently he did it.
Oh my gosh.
Probably for about $1.45 or something.
Something crazy.
Well, you living in the dorms that's another Baton Rouge ism. Having dormitories inside of a stadium. That's
crazy.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
imagine, you have a huge test on Monday and you're trying to study and you're living in a stadium?
I can't. Yeah, that's just a. That's,
Oh, you didn't study in the stadium, okay?
Yeah, you'd have to go to the library.
You had to go to the library.
Yeah, I mean, duh. I don't know why I would say that.
That's good though. That's
That
interesting.
is. I know. So, anyways, well, thank you for being with us today. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Dad?
No, I'm just so happy that Patrick was able to show up
You were
today.
just like a ball of information. We could pick your brain all day. I'm telling you.
This is fun. I'm glad y'all had me on.
It's so fun. It's so fun. And I hope you come back.
I will.
Yeah, there's so many things. You work at LSU, right?
I do work at LSU. Yes.
Yes,
So I can see the change just in my time there. I've got 19 years at LSU, so
Golly.
I can see how much it changes on almost a daily basis. They're constantly doing something.
Always.
Yeah.
I know. All right. Well, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having
me. Hope you come back.
I will.
Anything else, Dad? No?
Nope. Thank you
That's
very
it.
much.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you
That's
for all
it.
our watchers and lurkers and voyeurs and people on Facebook and YouTube. We love you so much.